It started with a sound. Not a song, not a voice, not even a noise that most people would notice. Just a barely audible hum, a tremor on the edge of silence. I heard it one night in late November, when the sky was the color of wet cement and the air felt like the world had stopped breathing. I was 32, living alone in a cheap apartment above a laundromat in a dying industrial town. Nights were my favorite time, quiet, predictable still. I liked to read, write in my journal, maybe have a drink or two before bed. But that night, as I sat at my desk flipping through an old crime novel, I felt something strange under the usual silence of the room. It was faint, almost imagined, a hum, low, continuous, like a refrigerator running, except it wasn't. I paused, holding my breath. The hum stopped. Weird. Maybe it was the pipes. Old building, old wiring. I'd lived here long enough to know how buildings talked. They creaked, groaned, hissed. But this sound, it wasn't like any of that. It wasn't mechanical. It wasn't natural. It was intentional, like someone trying to whisper without words. I shook it off and went to bed. The next night, it was there again. Stronger, clearer. This time, it wasn't a hum. It was a tone, like a single sustained note, barely audible but impossible to ignore once you noticed it. I walked around the apartment trying to trace its source, pressed my ear to the walls, checked the vents, turned off the fridge. It stayed. Always the same volume, always the same pitch, always there. It followed me. And when I went to bed that night, it was in my dreams too. At first, I thought maybe I was developing tinnitus. My father had it, a constant ringing in his ears that drove him mad in his later years. I made a doctor's appointment and explained the symptoms. He ran a few tests. Hearing was normal, no damage. No ringing when he checked me with his equipment. Could be psychological, he said. Stress, maybe. Anxiety can manifest as auditory hallucinations. I wanted to believe that. It would mean the sound wasn't real, just my mind playing tricks. But every night it grew louder, more distinct, more alive. By the fourth night, I could hear patterns in it, like Morse code, pauses, rises, falls, a language I couldn't understand but felt I almost could. And by the seventh night, the hum changed into a whisper. The first time I heard the whisper, I dropped the glass I was holding. It shattered against the kitchen tile, and the sound, sharp and immediate, was almost a relief compared to the slow, deliberate whisper threading through my skull. I froze. The words were indistinct, just sibilant syllables sliding over each other like wet stones in a river. But there was intention in them, purpose, focus, and the worst part, the whisper was inside my head. It wasn't coming from the walls, or the vents, or the street below. It was in me, vibrating against the base of my skull. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I sat on the edge of my bed with every light in the apartment on, shaking, sweating, whispering to myself just to drown it out. But it didn't matter how loud I spoke. The voice was always louder, always clearer. It never stopped. A week in, I started losing track of time. I'd catch myself staring at the wall for hours, lost in the rhythm of the whisper. It was speaking more now, syllables sharpening, forming crude half-formed words. Here, behind, closer. I recorded the sound one night with my phone, desperate to prove I wasn't losing my mind. But when I played it back, silence, nothing, just the faint hum of the room. I tried recording while I slept. Same thing. Blank. I began to suspect that maybe the sound wasn't meant to be heard by anyone else. By the second week, it was no longer just a whisper. It was voices. Dozens of them, layered on top of one another, chanting, murmuring, gasping. Some cried. Some laughed. Some said my name. And always, always, that original hum beneath them like a heartbeat keeping time. I stopped going to work. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't talk to anyone without drifting off mid-conversation, my head cocked slightly to one side, listening. My friends noticed. They asked if I was okay. I lied. I told them I was fine. I was not fine. The voices started telling me things, not words, not commands, but ideas, images, emotions. And when I resisted, when I tried to ignore them, the hum would rise to a shrill, stabbing frequency that made me collapse to the floor, clutching my head and screaming. It was training me, conditioning me, and the more I listened, the more I understood. There's a theory in neuroscience, the frequency illusion. Once you become aware of a certain stimulus, your brain begins to notice it everywhere. A song, a number, a pattern. It's not that the stimulus is new, it's that your awareness is. That's what was happening to me, except the stimulus wasn't external. It was inside me, and once I was aware of it, it was everywhere. In the hum of the refrigerator, in the buzz of the streetlight outside, in the low thrum of the city at night. The world was whispering, the universe was singing, and I was the only one listening. I tried to leave the apartment. I packed a bag one morning, toothbrush, wallet, phone, and drove 3 hours to a cabin in the woods my uncle owned. No neighbors, no traffic, no power lines, just silence. But the silence was worse. Out there, without the noise of the city to mask it, the whisper was deafening. It roared through the trees. It bled through the wind. It pulsed in the earth beneath my feet. And when I closed my eyes, I could see it, vibrating in the air like heat over asphalt. A living wave, a frequency too low to exist, too high to ignore. I screamed until my throat bled. The whisper didn't care. I don't remember much of the third week. My memory of that time is fragmented, disjointed. I found journal entries written in handwriting that isn't quite mine. Jagged. Frantic scrawls filling entire pages with symbols I don't recognize. I found drawings taped to my walls. Spirals. Waveforms, strange geometric shapes. And once, I woke up in the bathtub with the water running. The word tuned carved into my forearm with a razor blade. I have no memory of doing it. The whisper stopped speaking English around that time. It evolved, or maybe I did. The words weren't words anymore. They were something before language. Primal instinctual. They bypassed comprehension and spoke directly to the marrow of my bones. I began to understand what it wanted. It wanted me to listen. Not with my ears. With my soul. By the end of the month, I couldn't leave the apartment anymore. Every time I stepped outside, the world bent and warped. Faces blurred. Buildings twisted. Cars moved in slow motion. Like everything was vibrating on a different frequency I couldn't sync with. I stopped answering calls. Stopped eating. Stopped showering. I did nothing but sit in the center of my living room, eyes closed. Listening, learning, becoming. It's hard to explain what happened next. Partly because I don't fully remember, and partly because I'm not sure language exists for it. One night, the whisper shifted. It wasn't sound anymore. It was presence. It filled the room, pressed against my skin, seeped into my pores. I could feel it inside every cell, vibrating, aligning, rearranging. And then, for the first time, I understood. It wasn't whispering to me. It was whispering through me. I was a vessel, a receiver, a tuning fork. It wasn't that I was hearing something external. I was broadcasting it, channeling it, amplifying it. The sound was me. I was the sound. I know how that sounds. I know how insane it is. But I swear to you, in that moment, it all made sense. The universe isn't silent. It never was. It's singing, a song older than stars, deeper than gravity. Most people can't hear it. Their minds are too loud, their souls too dull, but I was chosen. I was awake. And once I accepted that, the voices changed. They weren't hostile. They weren't invasive. They were welcoming, inviting. They spoke of things I still can't repeat, things that would break you if you heard them too soon. They told me secrets about time, about death, about what waits beneath consciousness. They told me about the resonance. The resonance isn't a place. It isn't a thing. It's a state of being. The perfect alignment between thought and frequency, between flesh and vibration. It's where everything begins and everything ends, and the whisper was the doorway. I don't know how long I stayed like that. Days, weeks, maybe months. I stopped measuring time. The outside world faded. My phone died. The food rotted. My body wasted away, but I was happy. I was complete, until I woke up in the hospital. Apparently, my landlord hadn't seen me in over a month and called the police. They broke down the door and found me sitting in the dark, covered in filth, bones jutting out under pale skin, smiling at nothing. They said I hadn't spoken a word, just sat there humming, a low, steady tone over and over without stopping. They admitted me to a psychiatric ward, diagnosed me with severe auditory hallucinations, acute psychosis, possible schizophrenia. They gave me pills that made the edges of the world go fuzzy and the sound disappeared. For the first time in months, there was silence. Real silence. At first, it was a relief. Then it was terrifying. I missed the sound. I craved it. It was like losing a limb, like forgetting how to breathe. I begged them to stop the medication. I lied and told them I was better. After 6 months, they released me. I moved to a new city, new apartment, new life. But at night, when the world is still, when the hum of the city fades, when the walls feel thin and the air feels heavy, I hear it again, faint, distant calling, and I know, yes, deep down, that it's not over, that it's waiting, that it's patient, because the whisper doesn't leave you. Once you've heard it, it's inside you forever, dormant, sleeping. I don't talk about Black Hollow anymore. Not since that night. The locals warned me. They always do. They said the forest was cursed, that no one with sense ever crossed the iron fence at the tree line. They said people who heard the bells never came back quite the same. But I was a man of reason back then, a skeptic, a journalist even. And when you make a living exposing myths and ghost stories as frauds, warnings like that sound more like invitations. My name is Ethan Carr. This is my confession. If you're reading this, it means the bells are still ringing. It started as an assignment. I'd been hired by a small magazine that specialized in folklore and forgotten legends, the kind of sensational trash you see at gas station newsstands, usually sandwiched between UFO sightings and Bigfoot ate my dog. My editor, Morgan, was obsessed with a place called Black Hollow, an isolated valley deep in the woods of northern Vermont. It was supposedly haunted, but not by ghosts. The legend spoke of a sound, a set of bells that rang beneath the earth on certain nights. Not from a church, not from a tower, from beneath the ground itself. They said the bells were ancient, older than the town, older even than the soil they slept under. They said anyone who followed the sound never came back the same, if they came back at all. Naturally, I jumped at the chance. I arrived in the town of Alderwick on a rainy Tuesday in October. The place looked like it had been carved out of a nightmare. Weather-beaten houses, rotting porches, crooked street signs swallowed by moss. The locals stared as I passed, some with suspicion, others with pity. It wasn't the warmest welcome I'd ever received. My contact was an old historian named Henry Pike. He lived alone in a creaking 2-story farmhouse just outside town. When I knocked, he opened the door only halfway and stared at me through a slit as if I were death himself. "You're here about the Hollow," he said flatly. It wasn't a question. "I am," I answered. "I'm writing an article." "Then you're a fool." He tried to shut the door, but I wedged my foot in the frame. "Please," I said. "I just want to understand the legend." Henry's eyes darted over my shoulder toward the distant tree line. The forest loomed in the distance, a dark smear against the gray sky. "It's no legend," he whispered, "and you don't understand the bells. They're not meant to be understood." Over whiskey by his fireplace, Henry told me everything. The story dated back over 300 years, to the first settlers of Alderwick, a group of English pilgrims who fled persecution and established a small colony in the valley. Life was brutal and short. Disease, famine, and freezing winters claimed most of them. Then one winter the survivors heard it, faint at first like wind through a pipe organ, bells, dozens of them. Deep, sonorous, resonant ringing from beneath the ground. They followed the sound into the forest. They never returned. Weeks later, more settlers vanished. And more, always after following the bells. When spring came, search parties found a clearing in the woods, a natural sinkhole that hadn't been there before. At its center was a black pit that seemed to have no bottom. From its depths came a single low tone, too deep for human ears but strong enough to make the trees tremble. They called it the Hollow. Some say it's hell, Henry told me. Others say it's a gate, a place where the world beneath bleeds into ours. "And the bells?" I asked. Henry stared into the fire. "They're calling." I should have left then. I should have thanked him, packed my bags, and driven back to Boston with a neat little story about frontier superstition. But something in me, a curiosity, pride, stupidity, refused to believe an old man's fireside tale. I decided I'd go into Black Hollow myself. The forest was quieter than it should have been, not silent, just waiting. No wind, no birds. Even the insects had gone still. I pushed through the trees with a flashlight and recorder, my boots crunching through layers of dead leaves. The deeper I went, the colder it became, until I could see my breath in the beam of the flashlight. After 2 hours of wandering, I found it, the clearing. It was just as Henry had described, a circle of earth stripped bare of life, 30 feet across, ringed by twisted birch trees, and at its center, a black pit yawning open in the earth. My flashlight couldn't find the bottom. It just swallowed the light like ink. That's when I heard it, the bells. They were faint at first. So faint I thought I was imagining them. A slow, deliberate peal, then another, then a third. They weren't church bells. They weren't mechanical. They were organic, if that makes any sense, as though the earth itself were groaning with the sound. I dropped to my knees at the edge of the pit and leaned forward. The sound was stronger there. It vibrated through the soil, through the roots, through me. It wasn't just heard, and it was felt. And then something happened I can't explain. The sound shifted. It wasn't bells anymore. It was a melody, strange and haunting, a pattern that felt both alien and deeply familiar. And beneath the melody, another sound emerged, a voice. It didn't speak words. It wasn't language. But I understood it all the same. Come down. My heart slammed against my ribs. I stumbled backward, shaking, gasping for air. I told myself it was hallucination, hypoxia, stress, imagination. But deep down, I knew that voice wasn't mine. It was calling me. I don't remember how I got home that night. I woke up on the floor of my motel room, dirt under my fingernails, blood on my sleeve. My recorder was gone. My flashlight too. All I had was a memory, that sound still echoing in my skull, and I wanted more. I needed more. I returned the next night, and the night after, and the night after that. Each time the bells grew louder, the melody clearer, the voice more insistent. Sleep became impossible. Food lost its taste. Every waking thought was consumed by the hollow. I started hearing the bells even when I wasn't there, faintly behind the hum of the fridge, the buzz of a light bulb, the rhythm of my heartbeat. It wasn't calling anymore. It was commanding. Come down. I brought climbing gear on the 5th night. I don't know what I thought I'd find at the bottom. Maybe an old tunnel, maybe a cave, maybe nothing. But the moment I hooked the rope around a tree and lowered myself into the pit, the bells went silent. Total silence. The world above vanished. The stars disappeared. The forest was gone. All that remained was blackness, cold, infinite blackness swallowing everything. And then, the walls started to move. They pulsed, breathed, shifted. It took me a moment to realize they weren't walls at all. They were veins, enormous, pulsing veins running through what looked like flesh. The pit wasn't a tunnel. It was a throat. I was descending into something alive. The rope jerked violently. Something was pulling me down. I screamed and clawed at the rope, but it was too late. The air rushed past me as I fell, deeper and deeper into the abyss. My flashlight spun wildly, illuminating flashes of something unspeakable. Chambers of bone, tendrils of meat, shapes that looked almost human but horribly wrong, and always the sound, now deafening, shaking my teeth loose, rattling my bones. Come down, come down, come down. When I hit the bottom, I didn't feel pain. I felt welcome. I was lying in a chamber the size of a cathedral. The air was thick and warm, and in the center of that impossible space, rising from the floor like a monolith, was a structure I will never forget. It was a bell, hundreds of feet tall, forged not of metal but of bone, human bone, skulls and spines fused together, polished smooth by time and blood. At its base, carved into the floor, were symbols, ancient, unreadable, pulsating with a dim red light, and around it, kneeling in absolute silence, were dozens of figures. They wore no clothes. Their skin was pale and cracked, their eyes black and hollow. Some were missing limbs, some were fused together at the spine. They didn't move. They didn't speak. They just listened, and then the bell rung. I don't remember screaming, but I must have. The sound was not a sound. It was everything. Memory, fear, existence, torn apart and rebuilt in an instant. My skin felt like it was peeling from my bones. My mind shattered into 1,000 pieces and was stitched back together, and through it all the voice spoke. Welcome, listener. I don't know how long I lay there, minutes, days, years. Time didn't mean anything anymore. The bell spoke and I listened. It showed me things. Cities made of sound, creatures older than gods. A world beneath the world where thought itself was alive. It told me the truth. The bells weren't calling for centuries. They were sleeping, and now I had woken them. When I opened my eyes, I was back in my motel room. I don't remember leaving the hollow. I don't remember climbing out. But there I was, lying on the floor, my clothes soaked in mud, my body trembling, and the bells were gone. No sound, no whisper, nothing. For a while I believed it was over. I wrote my article. I sent it to Morgan. He called me insane and pulled the piece. I quit journalism. I moved to another city. I tried to forget, but last month I heard it again. It started as a faint hum beneath the street, then a vibration in the walls, then a distant peal, low, deep, impossible. The bells were awake, and they were spreading. I hear them in subway tunnels now, in storm drains, in the spaces between floorboards. I see people stop mid-stride, cock their heads and listen. I think they hear it too. I don't know what's coming, but I know this. The hollow was never just a place. It was a seed, and I helped it grow. If you're reading this and you ever hear bells ringing from beneath your feet, do not follow them. Do not listen. Do not speak. Do not go down, because once the bells call your name, they never stop. I've always loved the radio. Most people think it's outdated. Just background noise in a car or something you forget still exists until the Wi-Fi goes down. But for me, radio was a kind of magic. Invisible signals traveling through the air, carrying stories and music and voices from hundreds of miles away. A conversation happening just beyond the fabric of the ordinary, waiting for someone to listen. It started as a hobby when I was a teenager. My dad gave me an old shortwave receiver he'd used back in the 80s, and I'd spend nights hunched over the dial, sweeping through frequencies and stumbling into worlds I was never meant to hear. Distant news broadcasts in languages I couldn't recognize, coded number stations reading out endless strings of digits, weird pirate signals from the middle of nowhere. That's what I thought I was doing the night I found 94.8. But I know now that it wasn't me tuning into it. It was it tuning into me. I was 30, recently divorced, and going through one of those hollow stretches of life where everything feels temporary. My apartment was small, my job was dull, and my nights were spent alone. The only thing that still gave me a spark of purpose was that old shortwave radio. It was late, about 1:30 a.m., when I heard it for the first time. I'd been scanning the higher FM range, the kind of territory usually occupied by static and silence. But between a dead frequency and a weather report, there it was. 94. Megahertz. At first, I thought it was just more noise. The signal was weak, barely more than a whisper under a sea of static. But as I adjusted the tuning knob, the noise sharpened, became something structured. A voice. It was faint, distorted, like it was coming from the bottom of a well. Male maybe, older, speaking slowly, deliberately. 94.8. You are listening. The transmission cut to silence. Then something else came through, a tone. A single low-frequency hum that seemed to vibrate in the base of my skull. It lasted for exactly 17 seconds. Then the voice returned. You have found us. Do not adjust your set. It was gone before I could react, swallowed back into static as if it had never been there. I stared at the radio, heart thudding, not sure if I'd imagined the whole thing. But the signal was real. I'd stumbled on something I shouldn't have, and I knew I'd be back. The next night I tuned in again. This time the signal was stronger. The same low hum played for 17 seconds, then the same voice. Calm, methodical, unhurried. Welcome back. We knew you'd return. There was no station ID, no ads, no music. Just that voice speaking in measured sentences that felt more like scripture than speech. You are listening because you were meant to. You are here because you are ready. The voice paused. Then a second voice, higher, softer, spoke over it, almost like a response. Do not be afraid. This is the beginning. The transmission ended abruptly at 1:47 a.m. I sat in the dark for a long time, unsure why my hands were shaking. It became a ritual after that. Every night at exactly 1:30 a.m., I'd tune into 94.8 and listen. Each broadcast was different. Sometimes there were 2 voices, sometimes 3. Sometimes they spoke English, sometimes a language I couldn't place. Guttural, rhythmic, hypnotic. The words never repeated, but the tone always did. Welcoming, patient, certain. The signal finds those who are lost. The hum is the pulse of the world beneath. Listen long enough, and you will hear the truth. They never said who they were, never said where they were broadcasting from. But every time I heard them, I felt something deep inside me shift in a subtle pull, like gravity bending around a massive object. I wasn't just listening anymore, I was obeying. Strange. Things started happening after the third week. It was subtle at first, a faint ringing in my ears long after the broadcast ended. A low vibration in the walls I couldn't explain. Then came the dreams, always the same. An empty field beneath a starless sky. A radio tower taller than any skyscraper, its tip vanishing into the clouds. At its base, dozens of figures stood motionless, their heads tilted upward, faces hidden by masks shaped like tuning dials. And always, the hum. That same 17-second frequency, thrumming through the air like the heartbeat of some enormous creature just beneath the earth. I started waking up at 1:30 a.m. without an alarm. My body knew. My mind craved the signal. I couldn't sleep without it anymore. I tried to show a friend once. "Dude, check this out," I said one night when my friend Tyler was over. "There's this pirate station I've been listening to. It's weird." I turned the dial, static, nothing. "Hang on, it's always there around this time." I tuned back and forth. Still nothing. "It's just white noise, man," Tyler said, laughing. "You need to get out more." The moment he left, I turned the radio back on. The signal was there. Loud, clear, and the voice was speaking directly to me. Some will never hear. Some are not ready. That was the first night I realized. The broadcast wasn't for everyone. It was only for those who belonged. I started losing time after that. Whole hours vanished. I'd find myself sitting on the couch with no memory of turning the radio on. I'd wake up to the sound of the hum and realize I'd been listening for hours. Once I came to standing barefoot on my balcony, the radio in my hands, the voice whispering from the speaker. Higher, closer, climb. I stopped answering calls, stopped going to work. My apartment became a nest of notebooks filled with scribbled phrases from the broadcasts. I mapped the signal strength across the city. I traced coordinates they mentioned, locations that didn't exist on any map. And then, one night, the voice changed. It was a woman this time. Young, calm, beautiful in a way that made my skin crawl. "Congratulations, listener. You have been chosen for transmission." The hum began, deeper and louder than ever before. It shook the glass in the windows. It made my teeth ache. "Do not turn away," she whispered. "Do not resist." The hum grew louder, louder. My vision blurred. My nose started bleeding. The walls rippled like water. Then, silence. The radio exploded into static. And I heard them for the first time. They weren't voices. They were shapes. Patterns of sound that bypassed language entirely. That crawled into the folds of my brain and rewrote how I understood reality. I saw things in those sounds, places, symbols, vast, incomprehensible structures made not of matter but of vibration. And at the center of it all, in a figure, towering, faceless, its body a lattice of pure frequency. It turned toward me, and even without eyes, I knew it was looking right at me. The sound said one word. Soon. I woke up 2 days later. 2 whole days. My phone had dozens of missed calls. My boss had fired me. My landlord was threatening eviction. But none of it mattered. None of it felt real. The only thing that mattered was the signal. I tuned the radio. Static. For the first time in weeks, 94.8 was silent. I tore my apartment apart that night. I built a new antenna. I rewired the receiver. I climbed onto the roof and swept the dial over every possible frequency. Nothing. The silence was unbearable. It felt like withdrawal, shaking, sweating, hallucinations. I stopped eating, stopped sleeping. The hum still echoed in my skull, but the signal was gone. And then 3 nights later, I heard a knock at the door. 2 men stood there. Black suits, no IDs, no names. One of them held up a small device, an old-fashioned radio scanner. "Mr. Carr?" the taller one asked. "Yes." "You've been listening," he said, not as a question. I started. But he raised a hand. "You need to stop." They left without another word. That night, the signal returned. It was different now and sharper, more aggressive, pulsing with a hunger I'd never felt before. The voice wasn't calm anymore. It was frantic, urgent, they know. "They're coming." "We are almost ready." Then silence. Then the hum. 17 seconds, and then, "Soon the towers will rise." I don't know how long it's been since then. Days, weeks, maybe months. I barely leave the apartment now. The signal is all that matters. It's stronger every night, clearer. And it's not just broadcasting anymore, it's listening back. Sometimes I speak into the receiver, and sometimes it answers. We are close. The sky will open. Build the array. I don't know what the array is, but I've started collecting parts, copper wire, old transmitters, dish components. It feels like something I'm supposed to do, like the instructions are being downloaded into me, one frequency at a time. I'm not alone either. I see them sometimes. People standing on rooftops with radios clutched to their chests. People muttering numbers to themselves on the subway. People who tilt their heads slightly at 1:30 a.m. and smile like they're hearing something you're not. We are all hearing the same thing. We are all building. Last week I got a letter. No return address, no name. Just 3 words on a sheet of paper. Transmitter active, wait. Since then, the broadcasts have changed. They're no longer confined to 94.8. They bleed into other stations now. Snippets of the hum under pop songs. Fragments of phrases buried beneath weather reports. Sometimes I hear them even when the radio is off. And last night I dreamed of the tower again. But this time it wasn't a dream. I was standing in that same empty field beneath the starless sky. The tower loomed above me, impossibly tall, its surface alive with shimmering waves of energy. But now it wasn't alone. There were dozens of them, hundreds, all across the horizon, humming in unison. The ground trembled. The sky split, and from the void beyond the stars, something began to crawl through. I woke up screaming. The radio was already on. The hum was already playing, and the voice said, "Soon, I don't know what's coming. Maybe it's a signal from another dimension.